Welcome to HBRV Lifestyle. We are live and I'm running behind. So I'm getting the car driving for the first probably 10 minutes of this live stream and then we're going to pull over. So one of the things I really need to talk about today is purchase contracts. There's a lot of people that have watched two lawyers now on YouTube make videos about how purchase contracts in the RV industry is a scam. Well, first off, the information that is given in those videos applies to only a few states in the United States. Those specific states do not have buyback laws or lemon laws. Okay, so like if you purchase in California, if you purchase in Arizona, if you purchase in parts of the Midwest, you are covered by that state's lemon law. So this is the problem with YouTube and the internet. You're getting only partial information. You're only getting information that is good for somebody's narrative. Okay? An attorney is trying to get clients, so he's going to twist the law and narratives into his own thing. Now, are these lawyers wrong? No, they're not wrong. There are states in the United States, here we go. There are states here in the US that literally have no buyback, no consumer protection laws. So in those laws, in those purchase contracts, the dealerships try to protect their butt because the only legal recourse that they have or the consumer has is with the dealership. So they make you sign something that says you have to go sue the manufacturer where basically the coach is manufactured. So in this case, the RV's in, Indiana. But that same contract is for cars and trucks as well. It's not just RVs in these states. It's also boats. You sign a contract stating you're not going to sue the dealer, you're going to sue the manufacturer in their own state, in states where there's no consumer protection laws, like Virginia, if I remember right. So purchase contracts in the industry are different state to state. Guys, I know you want me to have some miracle that, he's going to talk about how crappy purchase contracts are. No, purchase contracts vary state to state. California has a law 553. Nevada has a purchase order with a no cooling off period. Arizona has a different purchase contract. Florida has a different purchase contract. Oregon has there isn't a universal purchase contract. None. There's no universal. Every purchase contract varies per state. So this is the problem with lawyers. I love lawyers. I use lawyers. I like listening to lawyers on YouTube and Rumble and etc. I get good, valuable information. But as soon as I get that information, I go and actually look up the state law where I'm at and find out if that actually applies to me. This is one thing I've been talking about with customers for almost 15 years. Okay. When I worked at Giant RV in California, people go, well, I can drive to Ohio and buy the same fifth wheel for $6,000 less. Well, yeah, you save the freight. But the reality is that you purchased it in Ohio, so you have to go by Ohio lemon law. You have to go by Ohio vehicle selling law. You don't get to come back to California and get protected under the California umbrella. And this is the other problem nobody talks about. Whatever state you purchase an RV, a car, a truck, anywhere you purchase a vehicle, you don't go by the state you live in, you go by the state you made the purchase in. So if you were trying to save thousands of dollars by driving to Virginia because they're cheaper, you're protected under Virginia law. So if Virginia doesn't have a buyback law, if Virginia doesn't have consumer protection laws where you have to go sue people in Indiana rather than suing them in Virginia, that's on you for not knowing your state's laws. That's not on the dealer. The dealer's job is to know their state laws and know their state contracts, know the legality of their contracts, and have customers sign them. So to call purchasing things a scam when it's all legal according to what state you live in, that is beyond ignorant. Okay? You can get mad at me, you can get upset with me, you can get nasty with me, but the reality is, if you live in a state where there's no lemon law, there's no buyback law, then go to a state that does and purchase your item. So if it's true that West Virginia has a no lemon law, and if you have a problem with a frame or a problem with a tank, you got to go to Indiana to sue, find a state that's within a reasonable driving range from you and buy it from a state that has better consumer protection laws. Camping World, I'm not defending Camping World, but Camping World is a large retailer and are in multiple states. Their contracts vary state to state. Their contract in California is going to be different than their contract in Florida. Their Florida contract's going to be different than their Kentucky contract. Their Nebraska contract is going to be different than their Arkansas contract. It's all varies state to state. And by the way, if you go listen to these attorneys, they actually disclose this at the beginning of their video and say this does not apply to everybody and every purchase. And then everybody doesn't listen to that. They just listen to the ramblings of negativity. Get over yourself. Seriously. RV contracts, car contracts, boat contracts, all vary state to state. If you want to be protected, buy it from a state that has great consumer protection laws, but you're going to pay more money. See, that's the problem that people don't realize. When a state has more regulation, when a state has better customer relations laws, better consumer protection laws, the cost of doing business is higher. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's a fact of life. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't sit there and say you want protection laws like California does, but you want to pay Ohio prices. You can't do that. That's not the way it works. You're either going to pay a little more to be in a state or purchase from a state that's going to protect you and stand by you legally and make the manufacturer actually abide by their state laws, or you're going to save money because you have to get the discount because it's the principle of the thing. Do your homework. Do your homework, folks. If you live on the East Coast, find out what your actual recourse is if something happens at an Armageddon level, whether it's a car, whether it's a truck, whether it's a side-by-side, whether it's a dirt bike, whether it's a motorcycle, whether it's an RV. Do your homework. If you live in a state that goes, oh yeah, there's no lemon law here, don't buy there. Tell your dealer, sorry, you guys don't have any, what recourse do I have? I have zero recourse if my engine blows up. I have zero recourse if the frame on my fifth wheel snaps. I have zero recourse if the wheels on my motorcycle fall apart while I'm on the freeway. Then the dealers can get together with the state and go, we're losing business because people are leaving because we have no consumer protection laws. This is the problem. We don't pay attention to the little details. We hear something negative and we instantly go, every state's like that. Every RV, it's just like all these people that come online and they want to argue that every single RV built across a factory line is bad quality. Every one of them fall apart. Every one of them is a problem. That's all exaggerated bull crap. That's all malarkey. But hey, negativity sells. Sex sells. Makes ad revenue. Makes money. Makes clients. Gets attention. Let's not actually look at the millions of people that have bought RVs over the last 6 years that are extremely happy with them, whether they bought it new or whether they bought it used. Let's not worry about the 15, 20 million people that own an RV currently that are extremely happy with them. Let's focus in on the hundreds that are having extreme problems. Now, I'm not saying at all that we shouldn't have some kind of focus on them. This podcast focuses on that stuff and gives the information out to the consumer base so everybody has a realistic point of view of the negative, the good, the bad, the ugly. But if all we focus in on is all the crap, all the garbage, and you want to yell at me because I ramble and I run my mouth, hey, I'm on nobody's side with this. I'm on the consumer side more than I am on anything else because the consumers, the RV community, the RV community, the RV customer, they're the ones that keep this industry going. And that's why I do this. I don't do this because I'm looking to be rich and famous. I would love to be rich. I don't want to be famous, okay? But let's be realistic. Let's actually read state laws before we jump to a conclusion saying that all purchase contracts are fake and fraud. That every contract you sign away your rights to sue somebody. That is so much bull crap. In some states, yes, you have to sign a piece of paper because they'd want you to go sue the manufacturer in the state that's manufactured because your state set it up that way. Your Democratic state, your Republican state. If you don't like it, vote for somebody else. If you're in a Republican state and they don't have any lemon laws and they don't have any protection for you buying a car, an RV, a boat, go vote for a Democrat. If you're in a Democratic state that has no consumer protection laws, go vote Republican. You want to make a change, get the people out of office that have been sitting in office for years doing nothing. Don't sit there and complain on the internet. Go do something about it. Go run for office yourself if you want to make changes. And no, I'm not being ridiculous. There's a lot of people that have made great changes in states, great changes in counties with no budget. So it's not sarcasm. We have to look at every industry is run independently. What we don't remember about this country is there's a reason why there's an electoral college. The reason why there's an electoral college is because every state has a different culture, different set of people. Like, for example, there's a bigger Muslim community, more than likely, in the northeastern states and the Midwest than there is in California. So places like Michigan are going to be more have a different culture, different food, different lifestyle than people in Sacramento, California. People in Arkansas are going to have different culture than people in Florida. We're a melting pot of people. So every state, every melting pot has a voice. Every state has more power than the federal government in a lot of respect. There's not a federal consumer blanket that says every lemon law has to be lemon law. No, every state controls their own consumer protection programs. When you have the 8th largest economy in the world, or the 16th largest economy in the world, or the 25th largest economy in the world in a state, they're going to be a little more pro-consumer. When you have a state like North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, that don't have as many people, the consumer protection laws are going to be less. Look at how many people go get a Montana LLC because they don't want to pay sales tax. You know, you couldn't get away with that in any other state. Do you know how many people have a P.O. box in South Dakota in this industry so they can pay less money in registration? So they go to Montana, pay no sales tax, pay their insane DMV fee. Then a year later, they transfer, go get a South Dakota driver's license. So that way they only pay, $75 every 2 years for registration. So it's okay for someone to rip off their own government that the money pays for roads, the money pays for different infrastructure things, but it's not okay for a state to have no lemon law or buyback. You see what I mean? Like, pick and choose our battles, right? We have so many options in this country for doing things, okay? There's so many ways to be able to go get, they make it so easy in a lot of states to go become a resident of that state without owning property, without having a business, without having a physical business there. You could have an online business that's based out of a lot of states because they're looking for the small tax revenue. They're looking to be able to say, hey, we grew our population 10,000 people so they can get more money from the federal government. There are so many ways to protect yourself. There's so much research that can be done to make sure that you know that if something goes wrong, you don't have to travel to Indiana to sue the manufacturer. You don't have to travel to Detroit, Michigan, where Ford is, to sue them if something goes wrong. But if you don't do the homework, you have no one to blame but yourself. If you listen to the sunshine and rainbows guys and you don't look at the middle ground of everything, that's on you. That's not on me. That's not on the dealer. That's not on the internet. That's not on the lawyers. That's on you. Do your homework about the state you live in before you buy. I had a guy ask me on the live stream last night, would you rather have me buy in California or Arkansas? I'm like, you're going to pay more money in California, but you'll be protected under California lemon law, no matter where you travel to, because you purchased it in California. You'll spend $5,000 more because of freight. He's already in California. Don't get roped into the negativity. Don't get roped into the amazings of the world. Watch them, learn from them, know what the mistakes were, know what has gone wrong. There's nothing wrong with you going to Liz Amazing's channel and going and finding out what happened with this person, what happened with this particular motorhome, what happened with this particular fifth wheel or travel trailer, what happened at this particular dealer. There's nothing wrong with that. That's called research. But to take everything that channel says for for absolute 100% truth of the entire RV universe, of the entire United States, of the everything that's built is ridiculous. Grand Design has a huge problem because they are being alleged to have the worst frame problems in the industry. Those are allegations that come straight from customers' mouths. And it ain't one or two, it's a lot. And there are most people want to keep quiet about it on the internet because they're afraid they won't get their rig fixed if they say anything. But does that mean that every Solitude and every Momentum that comes out of the factory is going to have their frame fail? No. Is it a higher percentage and a higher probability than every other manufacturer right now? Absolutely. You got a better shot of not having frame failure with Brinkley, Riverstone, Jayco, Keystone. You got a better shot with all the other manufacturers because the problem is predominantly with Grand Design, according to the allegations. But does that mean every single one of them coming out is going to break and snap on you within 10 days of your trip? No. It's a small percentage compared to what's being built, but it's a larger percentage than it should be. See what I mean? Everybody calls me a Grand Design hater. I'm not a hater. I just don't like the way they've treated people. I don't like the way how they've conducted themselves over this problem. I am not a fan of it. I never will be a fan of it, and I will always remind people till the day I die of how horrible they treated people. But that doesn't mean that every single unit coming out of the Grand Design factory is a pile of crap. That doesn't mean every Lippert chassis is going to have frame problems. It doesn't mean every BAL frame is going to have problems. It doesn't mean every MORryde frame is going to have problems. It simply means do your homework. Know what you're getting yourself into. Know the possibilities. Know your state laws. Know that before you go in, oh, look at that. I can drive to Indiana and I can save over $7,000. Okay, great. What do you give up by going and buying it for cheaper somewhere else? I'll tell you one thing, Indiana does not have big, huge consumer protection laws. So Florida is overprotective of customers, but you're gonna have to spend $7,000 more. Would you rather be protected for $7,000 more? Or would you rather not be protected and save $7,000? That's a personal choice that you're going to have to make. And once you've made that choice, you have to live with it. But at least you know, rather than surprise. And that goes with everything you buy. Anything registered with a DMV, you have to live with that. There is no, how do I put this? There is no getting your cake and eating it too. I probably said that wrong. We have another real big problem right now. The RV manufacturers, and I talked about this last night, the RV manufacturers are making a really big mistake. There is a lot of talk around the vendor campfire, that there's going to be a part shortage in the winter. Okay. There's a lot of things going on in the world that aren't being talked about because obviously you got a war in Ukraine, you got a war with Israel, you got the Middle East in kind of turmoil, you got a US election, you had the Trump attempted assassination, you got Joe Biden stepping down and Kamala becoming the Democratic nominee, which I think is just absolutely crazy how that all went down, but that's for a different story, different time. What's not talked about is there's treaties that get broken. There's treaties that need to be renegotiated. There's trade deals that have to be renegotiated. We depend a lot on China and Taiwan and India and South Africa and different places and different countries to get components and parts to make stuff here in the United States. There are things going on around the world that we're not being talked about because of everything else going on. And that's why the vendors have kind of said, hey, you might want to watch out for this part shortage. I've talked about it now for 3 months. And did the RV manufacturers decide to, hey, we better slow down production because of warranty issues that might come up? Of course not. It's push, push, push. A stuffed dealer is a loyal dealer. You have almost now, I redid the math. I said 18-month last night. I redid the math to double check myself. It's a little over a 16-month supply of RVs in the market if you go back to 2012, 2013 numbers. That's coming out of a recession. That's coming out of the Great Recession when rates were really low. A normal RV market. 2018 was a high point. If you compare to 2018, we have almost a 14-month supply prior to COVID. So why are we building RVs when there's a 14-month supply of new RVs out there? Why are we not cutting production down to where we're only building floor plans that nobody has and doing it in a small quantity? Love you guys at the factory. A lot of great people at the factory worker level. A lot of great people at the production level. Upper management, you're going to lose your employees anyway because Amazon's opening up in several locations in rural Indiana. If you don't think that your employees have already applied or already starting to think about working there because they get full-time work with no hassles of having to worry about an economy, you're not thinking straight. If you don't think that more and more companies are going to move out of California, Texas, New York, and go to Indiana because of how protective you are of businesses, yeah. I mean, they smell blood in the water. These companies that are large companies like Tesla and places like that, I'm not saying Tesla itself, but just if you look at the general consensus, there's blood in the water and there's sharks circling and they could smell the blood in the water. So obviously they're going to come into rural Indiana and they're going to do their best to capture your employees and give them full-time work with full-time paycheck. You can't supply that right now. See, if you went back 2 years ago, if you went back to August 2022 and went, we're shutting down production for the next 4 months, 5 months, and let the dealers catch up because the market died in August of 2022. It started in April 2022 and then it died in August. And it hasn't recovered. Unless you're absolutely losing your rear end to sell stuff, people are not buying because they don't have an incentive to buy. People are mainly right now, from what I'm understanding, are buying a lot of used or buying deals. And manufacturers do not give out consumer rebates. They don't have a program for the buyer. That's got to change. Inventory control measures have to be put in place in the RV industry so you can keep the employees employed, so you can keep them building year round. When you get greedy, and it's not really greed, it's more when you're so worried about your job tomorrow and you don't have any confidence you're going to have a job tomorrow as a manager at the RV manufacturer level, you start doing stuff that's not really good for the community, not good for the dealership community, and surely not good for the factory community. You start making dumb decisions because you're reactive, not proactive. You don't go in with a game plan. Here's a game plan. I've got a year's supply of travel trailers out in the market. Why am I going to build another travel trailer right now? I'm not. I'm going to go to my upper management. I'm going to go to the money people. I'm going to go, look, we got a year's supply of inventory out there. Let's do a consumer rebate. Forget the dealers. You know what? We don't want to pay the dealers because the dealers are greedy sons of guns, which they're not. But let's just say they are, right? Okay, we'll give the rebate to the customer. Here's a rebate, guys. If you go buy my travel trailer by August 31st, we're going to give you a 20% rebate on top of what the dealer discount is. The dealer doesn't lose money. The consumer gets to get a good deal incentivized, and you get to cut your inventory that's available to the public down probably by 30-40% pretty quick, because you're the only one doing it. Because everybody else is going to wait to see how your program goes, and they're going to go, well, that's a good idea. Let's research and duplicate that. And now you get to produce new travel trailers again. You get to put your factory workers back to work. But we don't think like that at factory end. Our mindset is a stuffed dealer is a loyal dealer. Yeah, baby, that's been working really good the last couple of years. That's made friends at the dealership level. Oh yeah, that's made customer confidence so high that they are out buying new RVs in droves. They're letting used RVs sitting on the road dying. Bullcrap. The used market has taken off like a rocket. As long as you have a used RV priced correctly, not overpriced, not what your feelings are, but you have it priced logically and correctly to what the market brings for your rig, they sell within a couple of days. Because there are hundreds of thousands of people in the market to buy an RV. Hundreds of thousands. They're ready, willing, and able. And they've decided the used market is where they're going to go because they haven't been incentivized to buy new. Now, dealerships, what they're doing, they're getting smart. They're like, we're going to bring in overpriced used inventory on consignment, get people come to the lot, and they're going to lose a bunch of money on the new one, especially if it's a 23 or an older 24. And voila, they got rid of a piece of inventory that's on their lot that they're probably never going to replace. Here's a good example, guys. So I was in the room when a sales manager, won't tell you where, I'll just say it was somewhere on the West Coast, but not where I normally am, okay? And I was sitting there chit-chatting with the sales manager. I was talking about how I got a little hot, so we're gonna turn up the heat. So anyway, so we're talking about Google and Yelp and all that stuff, and there's a phone call. It's a video call from a RV rep, and he's got his manager on too. I'm like watching him do a walkthrough video. They don't know I'm there, and I just laughed. And guess what? This fifth wheel is going to land to you for only $90,000. And the sales manager looked at me, and I looked at him, and he goes, guys, I'll call you back. And click, and he goes, yeah, I ain't buying that shit. I mean, it's crazy. It's nutty how they think. They'd rather buy a used mobile suites for like 90 grand than buy a brand new fifth wheel coming from the factory for 90 grand, because the mobile suites, you know, you're talking what, $150,000, $160,000 brand new is what they sell for the good ones. They're full body paint. They can buy it for 90, sell it for 110 or 100 or whatever they're going to sell it for, flip it for 9% profit and do it quick. Well, that new fifth wheel is going to sit on the lot for 365, 465 days. And they're going to have to lose a bunch of money to get rid of it. It's like the factory people aren't thinking. They're not. See, here's what I would do. Don't go talk to the actual RVers because they already own something. Okay? What I would suggest, if I was going to suggest anything to the general managers, to the vice presidents, to super GMs, to the CEOs of all these factories, is I would say, look, this is what I would do if I were in your shoes. I would fly to every single show, and instead of standing around looking like a peacock, okay, and talking to well, I talked to this guy at General RV, and I talked to this guy at Sky River RV, and I talked to this guy, and this is what they're going to order. Forget the owners of the dealers. Forget the bloody bank reps. Go up to every customer that walks through a display, talk to 50, 80, 100 people that don't own an RV, that are looking to buy an RV, and get with them about what's going on. That's who you should be talking to, not trying to convince the dealerships to buy more stuff. You should be convincing the customer base that they should buy the product from the dealers and see what it would take and what's the incentive, what is going on. That's the difference. So anyway, long story short, I got some stuff to do today. I hope you guys enjoyed the thing. We're going to do this live stream Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific time, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific time, live. And I'm going to get a Google phone number so you guys can call in with your questions. That's going to be coming up later. Until next time, remember, toolkit and sense of humor.